Good news is finding its way to you, and it carries someone special with it. Sometimes life shifts quietly, without warning, without noise, without any dramatic sign that something is about to change. It just begins to feel different, a little lighter, a little softer, and you don't even realize at first that what you're feeling isn't temporary peace. It isn't just another calm before chaos, it's the beginning of something new. Maybe right now you are in that phase where you've already made peace with the idea that not everything you want is meant for you. You've trained your heart to stay strong, to stay quiet, to not expect too much. You've learned how to hold your emotions in, how to smile even when something inside you feels incomplete, and most importantly you've learned to let go, and that kind of acceptance never comes easy. It comes from nights where you had to convince yourself that it's okay if you don't get everything you hoped for. It comes from choosing dignity over desire, from walking away even when every part of you wanted to stay, from loving someone and still choosing not to cross a line you knew you shouldn't. And the truth is, life notices that, every silent sacrifice you made, every emotion you buried, every time you chose integrity over attachment, none of it goes unseen. It may feel like nothing changed, like you just lost something meaningful and had to move on alone, but life has its own way of balancing things out, and maybe, just maybe, something good is already on its way to you. But this good news won't arrive the way you expect. It won't come loudly, it won't be dramatic, it won't look like those perfect cinematic moments people talk about. Instead, it will arrive slowly, gently, like the first light of morning that doesn't demand attention but still manages to change everything. And this time you won't be alone. There is someone somewhere who is slowly finding their way toward you. They won't be perfect, but they will be real. They won't try too hard to impress you, they'll try to understand you, and in their presence you'll feel something familiar, something you thought you had lost before. But the difference is, this time those feelings won't just exist, they will be honored. At first you might not even recognize it, you'll hesitate, you'll question it, a part of you will hold back and wonder, what if this turns out the same way? Because you've built walls around your heart now, you've learned not to trust too quickly, not to open up without caution, and breaking those walls won't happen overnight, and they will understand that. They won't rush you, they won't pressure you, they will simply stay, and slowly, without you even realizing it, things will begin to feel easier. Conversations won't feel forced, silence won't feel awkward. You'll start sharing pieces of yourself again, not because you have to, but because it feels safe to, and for the first time in a long time you won't feel like you need to pretend, you'll just be yourself. And maybe that's what you were missing all along, a connection where you don't have to prove your worth, where you don't have to fight to be chosen, where love doesn't feel like a constant struggle. This time someone will choose you calmly. And the biggest truth is not just that someone is coming, the biggest truth is that you are ready now. You've created space within yourself for something real. You've cleared out the emotional weight that once held you back. You've learned the difference between attachment and understanding, between intensity and stability, between longing and genuine connection. You are no longer the person who just feels deeply and breaks easily. Now you feel and you understand, you love but you don't lose yourself, you care but you don't beg to be valued, and because of that you are finally ready for something that doesn't hurt to hold on to. One day, without any big reason, a simple message will appear or a small conversation will begin, and it will feel ordinary at first, just another interaction, just another moment, but slowly that ordinary will start becoming something meaningful. You'll laugh genuinely, you'll look forward to talking to them without fear, you'll care without overthinking, and most importantly, you won't constantly feel like it's all going to disappear. Because this time what comes into your life will come to stay. Yes, things won't always be perfect, there will be misunderstandings, there will be distance at times, there will be moments of doubt, but the difference is this time no one will run away, this time both of you will stay and try. Instead of giving up there will be effort, instead of silence there will be communication, instead of confusion there will be clarity, and you'll find yourself wondering, was it always supposed to be this simple? Yes, it was. Love was never meant to be complicated, people. Just make it that way, and when the right person enters your life, everything that once felt heavy and confusing starts to feel natural and light. Your past, the story that didn't work out, the connection that stayed incomplete, the love you had to let go of, all of it will finally make sense, not because it didn't matter but because it was preparing you to recognize something real, preparing you to not settle for less, preparing you to understand that sometimes letting go of the wrong person is the only way to make space for the right one, and that right one is already on their way. So if life feels quiet right now, if things seem slow, if there's a strange emptiness you can't explain, don't panic. This silence is not empty, it is making space for someone, and when they finally arrive you will realize that everything you lost was not a punishment, it was a redirection. This time you won't have to chase, this time you won't have to convince, this time you won't have to prove your worth, this time you will simply love. And someone will be there loving you back with the same honesty, the same calm, the same depth, and that's when you'll understand that good news is not always an announcement, sometimes it's a person. And maybe the most beautiful part of all of this is that it won't feel rushed, it won't feel like something you have to hold tightly out of fear that it might slip away, instead it will feel steady, like something that naturally belongs in your life, something that grows without pressure and stays without force, and for the first time you'll understand what it means to be chosen in a way that feels calm rather than chaotic. You've spent so much of your life associating love with intensity, with overthinking, with waiting, with questioning, with trying to decode every little sign, but this time there will be a quiet certainty, a softness that doesn't confuse you, a presence that doesn't make you doubt yourself, and that alone will feel unfamiliar at first, almost strange, because you're used to love feeling like a storm, not like peace. There will be moments when you catch yourself overanalyzing, when old fears try to come back and convince you that something will go wrong, that this is too good to last, that you should prepare yourself for disappointment. But slowly, with time, their consistency will answer your fears without you even needing to ask. Their actions will speak in ways words never could, and you'll begin to unlearn the habit of expecting pain where there is only care. You will notice how they remember small things about you, not to impress you but because they genuinely pay attention, how they show up even on days when you're not your best, how they don't disappear when things get a little difficult, and all these little things will start building a kind of trust inside you that you thought you had lost forever. It won't be about grand gestures or perfect moments, it will be about the quiet effort, the everyday presence, the way they choose you even in ordinary situations, and that's when you'll realize that real love is not something that overwhelms you. It's something that holds you gently without making you feel like you're about to lose it. And somewhere in between all of this, you will begin to change again, not in a way where you lose yourself, but in a way where you start becoming even more of who you truly are, because when you're with the right person, you don't feel the need to shrink, you don't feel the need to hide parts of yourself, instead you feel safe enough to grow, safe enough to open up, safe enough to exist fully without fear of being too much or not enough. You'll start smiling more without realizing it, you'll feel lighter in ways you can't explain, and even your silence will feel different, not heavy and lonely but peaceful and complete, and that's when it will truly hit you that this is what you were always looking for, not intensity, not obsession, not uncertainty, but a kind of love that feels like home. And maybe one day, in the middle of a normal conversation or a simple moment, you'll pause and think about everything you went through before, all the confusion, all the waiting, all the almosts and what-ifs, and instead of feeling pain, you'll feel gratitude, because you'll finally understand why none of it worked out, why things had to fall apart the way they did, why you had to walk away even when it hurt, because if you hadn't, you wouldn't be here now, you wouldn't be experiencing something this real, this genuine, this right. And that realization will heal parts of you that you didn't even know were still hurting. It will close chapters that once felt unfinished, and it will give you a kind of closure that no explanation ever could. You won't need answers from the past anymore. You won't feel the urge to go back and revisit what could have been, because what you have in the present will finally feel enough, more than enough, and for the first time you won't be looking behind, you'll be fully present in what's in front of you. And that is when you'll truly understand that good things don't come when you chase them, they come when you become ready for them, when you grow into the version of yourself that can receive them without fear, without doubt, without losing yourself in the process. You didn't lose what you thought you lost, you were being redirected, protected, prepared for something that aligns with you in a way nothing else ever did, and even though it didn't make sense back then, it will make perfect sense now. So trust this phase, trust this silence, trust this slow unfolding of your life, because something is happening even when it feels like nothing is, something is moving even when everything seems still, and the good news you've been waiting for is not far away anymore. It's closer than you think, and when it finally reaches you, it won't just change your circumstances, it will change the way you see love, the way you see yourself, and the way you understand everything you've been through. And in that moment, without any doubt left in your heart, you will finally feel it, not as a fleeting emotion but as a deep, quiet knowing, that this is what was meant for you all along. And even after all of this, the story doesn't stop there, because what's coming into your life is not just a person, it's a whole new way of experiencing yourself, a version of you that you've never fully met before, one that isn't constantly surviving but finally living, one that isn't always guarding their heart but learning how to open it without fear, and at first this version of you might feel unfamiliar. Almost like you're stepping into someone else's life, because you've spent so long being careful, being strong, being the one who holds everything together. That softness feels new, peace feels unusual, and happiness feels like something you need to question instead of accept. But slowly, very slowly, you will start allowing it, you will start letting yourself feel without overthinking, without trying to predict the end, without preparing for loss before something has even begun, and that shift, that quiet internal change, will be the real beginning of everything. Because love, real love, doesn't just come into your life and stay the same, it transforms you in ways you didn't expect, not by taking pieces away from you but by helping you rediscover the parts of yourself you had hidden, the parts that believed deeply, that trusted easily, that loved without fear before life taught you to be careful. And this time, you won't feel like you're giving too much, you won't feel drained, you won't feel like you're the only one trying. Instead there will be balance, a natural rhythm where both of you give, both of you understand, both of you stay, and that balance will feel like something you've been searching for your whole life without even realizing it. There will be days when nothing extraordinary happens, no big moments, no dramatic expressions, just simple conversations, shared silence, small check-ins, and yet those will be the moments that mean the most, because they will show you that love is not built in grand gestures, it is built in consistency, in presence, in choosing each other again and again without needing a reason. And somewhere in between all of this, you'll notice that you're no longer afraid of losing them the way you used to fear losing people, not because you don't care, but because for the first time you feel secure, you feel seen, you feel understood, and that security will allow you to love freely instead of cautiously. You'll stop holding back your words, you'll stop filtering your emotions, you'll stop trying to act like you don't care as much as you do, because you'll know that your feelings are safe here, that they won't be used against you, that they won't scare the other person away, and that kind of emotional safety is something that changes everything. You'll begin to heal in ways you didn't even notice you needed, old wounds will start to feel lighter, old memories will lose their weight, and the parts of you that once felt broken will slowly come back together, not perfectly, but beautifully, in a way that feels real and honest and yours. And maybe one day, you'll look at yourself and realize how far you've come, how much you've grown, how much you've endured without giving up on love completely, and you'll feel proud, not just because you found someone, but because you didn't lose yourself in the process of waiting, because you chose to grow instead of becoming bitter, because you kept your heart soft in a world that often tries to harden it. And that's when it will truly make sense, why things didn't work out before, why you had to go through those difficult phases, why you had to learn those painful lessons, because they shaped you into someone who could recognize and receive something real, something healthy, something that doesn't come with confusion and doubt. You will finally understand that the delays, the rejections, the endings, they were not there to break you, they were there to guide you, to move you away from what wasn't meant for you and closer to what is. And this realization will bring you a kind of peace that no explanation ever could, a quiet acceptance of everything that has happened, and a deep trust in everything that is still to come. You won't rush anymore, you won't feel like you're running out of time, you won't compare your journey to anyone else's, because you'll know that what is meant for you will arrive exactly when you are ready for it, not earlier, not later, but at the right moment, in the right way. And when you sit with that thought, when you truly let it settle in your heart, you'll feel something shift inside you, a calm confidence, a sense of trust, a quiet belief that you are not missing out, you are not falling behind, you are exactly where you need to be. And that belief will change everything, it will change the way you see your past, the way you experience your present, and the way you look toward your future. Because now, instead of fearing what might go wrong, you'll start trusting what can go right. Instead of expecting loss, you'll start allowing connection. Instead of protecting yourself from everything, you'll start opening yourself to something real. And that is the moment where everything truly begins, not when someone enters your life, but when you finally allow yourself to believe that you deserve something good, something stable, something that stays. And when that belief meets the right person, the right energy, the right timing, it creates something rare, something meaningful, something that doesn't just pass through your life but becomes a part of it. So if you're still waiting, still wondering, still questioning whether something good is really coming your way, hold on just a little longer, not with desperation, not with fear, but with quiet trust, because what is meant for you is already moving toward you, even if you can't see it yet, even if you can't feel it fully yet. And one day, when everything finally aligns, when the timing feels right, when your heart feels ready, you will look back at this phase of your life and realize that this wasn't emptiness, this wasn't nothingness, this was preparation, this was growth, this was the space life was creating for something beautiful to enter. And when it does, when that person finally stands in front of you not as a dream but as a reality, you won't have to question it, you won't have to force it, you won't have to chase it, because it will feel right in a way that doesn't need explanation. And in that moment, quietly, without any noise, without any announcement, you will finally understand that the good news you were waiting for was never just about something happening, it was about someone arriving, and you becoming the version of yourself who was ready to receive them. And maybe this is the part no one ever really explains to you, the part where everything finally starts to make sense, but not in a loud, overwhelming way, instead in a quiet, deeply settling way that reaches places inside you that were once filled with confusion, because when something real enters your life, it doesn't just add to you, it aligns you, it organizes your chaos, it slows down the noise in your mind. And suddenly all those questions that used to keep you awake at night don't feel as heavy anymore, they don't demand answers the way they once did, because now you're experiencing something that answers them without words. You spent so much time trying to understand why things didn't work out before, why someone couldn't stay, why something that felt so real still ended, and those questions became a part of you. They shaped the way you saw love, they made you more careful, more observant, more guarded, and while that protection was necessary at the time, it also made you believe that love always comes with uncertainty, that it always leaves you questioning where you stand, but what you're about to experience will gently undo that belief, not by forcing you to change, but by showing you a different reality. One where you don't have to constantly look for signs, one where you don't have to decode mixed signals, one where clarity exists without you asking for it. And that clarity, that emotional stability, will feel like something you didn't even know you needed, because you were so used to inconsistency that consistency almost feels unfamiliar at first, almost like you're waiting for something to go wrong, like you're bracing yourself for a shift that never comes, and that's when you'll realize how deeply your past affected you, not just in what you felt, but in what you started expecting. But this time, slowly, gently, patiently, those expectations will begin to change, because when someone shows up for you again and again without making it feel like an effort, when they choose you without making you question it, when they stay without making you feel like it's temporary, your heart begins to relearn trust, not in a sudden, dramatic way, but in small, quiet moments that build something strong over time. You'll start noticing that you're not checking your phone with anxiety anymore, you're not rereading messages trying to find hidden meanings, you're not overthinking every little thing, instead you're present, you're calm, you're at ease. And that ease will feel like freedom, like you finally stepped out of a cycle you didn't even realize you were trapped in. And in that freedom, you will start to rediscover parts of yourself that you had lost, your laughter will come more naturally, your thoughts will feel lighter, your energy will shift in a way that people around you might even notice, because when something inside you heals, it reflects in everything you do, in the way you speak, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you exist. And the person who comes into your life will not just see this change, they will appreciate it, they will protect it, they will contribute to it, not by controlling you or shaping you, but by supporting you in being exactly who you are, and that kind of support is rare, it's not loud, it's not possessive, it's not overwhelming, it's steady, it's respectful. It's real. There will be moments when you open up about your past, when you talk about the things that once hurt you, and instead of feeling exposed or misunderstood, you will feel heard, you will feel accepted, you will feel like your story doesn't make you difficult to love, it makes you human, and that acceptance will heal something inside you that you didn't even know was still hurting. You won't feel like you have to hide your emotions. You won't feel like you have to act strong all the time, because you'll know that vulnerability here is not a weakness, it's a connection, it's something that brings you closer instead of pushing you away. And slowly, without even realizing it, you will begin to trust not just them, but yourself again, your choices, your feelings, your instincts, because for the longest time you doubted yourself, you questioned whether you were asking for too much, whether you were expecting too much, whether love was even supposed to feel stable. But now you'll see that what you wanted was never too much, it was just being asked from the wrong place, from the wrong person, at the wrong time. And that realization will free you from so much self-doubt. It will remind you that your heart was never the problem, your depth was never the problem, your way of loving was never the problem, it just needed the right space to exist in. And now that space is opening up for you, slowly but surely, and as it does, you will feel a sense of belonging that you can't quite explain, like you've finally found something that fits, something that doesn't require you to adjust or shrink or change yourself to make it work. And that's when you'll understand something very important, that love is not about finding someone who completes you, it's about finding someone who meets you where you already are, who walks with you instead of pulling you in different directions, who adds to your life without taking away your peace. And as days turn into weeks and weeks turn into something more meaningful, you'll stop counting, you'll stop measuring, you'll stop worrying about where things are going, because you'll already feel it, you'll feel the direction, you'll feel the stability, you'll feel the intention behind everything, and that feeling will be enough. You won't need constant reassurance, you won't need grand promises, you won't need dramatic expressions, because what you have will speak for itself in the way it shows up every day, in the way it stays even in silence, in the way it grows without forcing itself to grow faster than it should. And that's the beauty of it, it won't overwhelm you, it will ground you, it won't confuse you, it will center you, it won't make you question your worth, it will remind you of it again and again in the simplest ways. And somewhere along this journey, you'll realize that you're no longer afraid of the future the way you used to be, you're not constantly preparing for loss, you're not holding back just in case things fall apart, instead you're allowing yourself to experience what's in front of you fully, honestly, openly, and that openness will feel like a strength, not a risk. Because now you know that even if things don't go as expected, you will be okay, not because you don't care, but because you've built yourself into someone who can handle both love and loss without losing their identity. And that self-assurance will make everything even more beautiful, because you're no longer loving from a place of fear, you're loving from a place of wholeness, from a place of understanding, from a place of quiet confidence. And when love comes from that place, it doesn't feel like something you might lose at any moment, it feels like something you are capable of sustaining, something you are ready for, something that aligns with who you've become. So as everything continues to unfold, as this connection deepens, as this new chapter becomes more real with each passing day, you'll find yourself feeling something you haven't felt in a long time, not excitement mixed with anxiety, not happiness mixed with fear, but a pure, steady, grounded sense of peace, and that peace will be your confirmation. Your quiet sign that this is different, that this is real, that this is not another lesson, not another almost, not another temporary moment, but something that has come into your life to stay, to grow, to become a part of your story in a way that doesn't fade away. And in that realization, without needing to say it out loud, without needing to prove it to anyone, you will finally know, deep within yourself, that this is the good news you were waiting for, not something outside of you, but something that found you exactly when you were ready to receive it, exactly when you had grown enough to understand it, exactly when your heart had healed enough to hold it. And that is what makes it truly special, truly meaningful, truly yours, and now, as everything settles into place in a way that once felt impossible, you begin to understand that this journey was never just about finding someone, It was about finding yourself in the process. It was about becoming someone who could recognize the difference between what feels intense and what feels right, between what is temporary and what is meant to stay, and that understanding changes everything in ways that are quiet but permanent. You are no longer standing at the same place where you once questioned your worth, where you once wondered why you were not enough for someone who could not see you fully, because now you see yourself. Now you understand your own value in a way that no one else needs to validate, and that self-awareness becomes the foundation of everything that follows. The person who has entered your life does not complete you, they do not fill a void, they do not replace your past, instead they meet you where you already stand, whole in your own way, strong in your own journey, and together you create something that feels balanced, something that feels equal, something that does not depend on one person carrying all the weight. And that balance, that mutual understanding, is what makes this different from everything you have experienced before, because this time you are not losing yourself in love, you are finding more of yourself within it. There is a calmness now in the way you feel, a steadiness in the way you think, and even when challenges appear, as they always do in any real connection, you do not feel the urge to run or to shut down. Instead you feel the willingness to stay, to understand, to work through things with patience rather than fear, and that shift alone shows how much you have grown. You are no longer reacting from old wounds, you are responding from a place of healing, from a place of awareness, from a place where you know that not every difficulty means an ending, sometimes it simply means growth. And the person beside you understands that too. They do not expect perfection from you, they do not hold your past against you, they do not make you feel like you have to always be okay, instead they allow you to be human, to have moments of doubt, to have days where you feel a little lost, and still they stay, still they choose you, not just when it is easy but also when it requires effort. And that kind of presence is what builds something lasting. You begin to notice that love is no longer something you have to constantly think about, it becomes something you live, something that exists naturally in your daily life, in small gestures, in quiet conversations, in the comfort of simply knowing that someone is there, and that presence becomes a source of strength rather than a source of anxiety. You are not afraid of silence anymore, you are not afraid of distance, because you understand that connection is not measured by constant interaction but by consistent intention, by the quiet assurance that even when life gets busy or complicated, the bond remains steady. And this understanding allows you to breathe, to relax, to finally experience love without the weight of overthinking, without the constant need to analyze every detail, because now you trust not just the other person but the connection itself. And that trust is something you built, something you earned through everything you went through every moment that challenged you, through every experience that taught you what you deserve and what you should never accept again. You did not become this version of yourself overnight, it took time, it took pain, it took letting go of things you once thought you could never walk away from, and that is why this moment feels different, because it is not just about what you have found, it is about who you have become. There is a quiet pride within you now, not loud or boastful, but deep and steady, a recognition of your own resilience, your own ability to keep going even when things did not make sense, even when you felt like giving up, and that pride becomes a part of your peace. You no longer look at your past with regret, you no longer wish things had turned out differently, because now you understand that everything had a purpose, every ending led you here, every lesson shaped you into someone who could truly appreciate what is in front of you now. And as you move forward, you carry that understanding with you, not as a burden but as a quiet strength, something that reminds you of how far you have come and how much you are capable of handling. You do not rush the future, you do not try to control every outcome, because you have learned that the most meaningful things in life unfold in their own time, in their own way, and all you need to do is stay present, stay open, stay true to yourself. And in that presence, in that openness, you find a kind of happiness that is not dependent on constant excitement, not built on temporary highs, but rooted in something deeper, something more stable, something that does not shake easily. You realize that this is what you were searching for all along, not just love, but peace within love, not just connection, but clarity within connection, not just someone to be with, but someone who feels like the right place to be. And as this realization settles within you, you begin to see everything differently. You begin to understand that good news was never about a single moment, it was about a journey, a series of changes, a quiet transformation that led you to this point. It was about every time you chose to grow instead of staying stuck, every time you chose to let go instead of holding on to something that was not right for you, every time you chose yourself even when it was difficult, and all of those choices brought you here. So now, as you stand in this moment, with a heart that is no longer heavy, with a mind that is no longer restless, with a life that feels like it is finally aligning in a way that makes sense, you realize something very simple yet very powerful, that everything happened exactly the way it needed to. There were no mistakes, no wasted time, no meaningless pain, everything had a role in shaping this moment, in preparing you for what you now have, and that realization brings a sense of closure that words cannot fully describe. You are no longer waiting for something to happen, you are living it, you are experiencing it, you are a part of it, and that shift from waiting to living is what changes everything. And in this space, in this quiet, steady, deeply fulfilling space, you finally feel it, not as a fleeting emotion but as a lasting truth, that you are where you are meant to be, with someone who is meant to be there with you, at a time that is right for both of you. And that is when it all comes together, when every question fades, when every doubt settles. When every part of you aligns with what is in front of you, and you understand, fully and completely, that the good news you were waiting for was never just on its way, it has arrived, it has found you, and it has become a part of your life in a way that is real, steady, and lasting, and in that realization, you finally allow yourself to rest, to breathe, to simply exist in something that feels right, something that feels true, something that feels like home.